Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Path of Exile. We are playing the Essence League with Tukohama's Totemancer. And we have arrived in Act 2. So, this episode I plan to do both of the trials. So we're gonna visit the Chamber of Sins, have a bit of a showdown with all the lovely folks in there. And after that we'll move over to the crypt and say hi to those who reside there. Well, it's just a bit of a meet and greet with all the nice and famous people in this neck of the woods. And then next episode we'll probably do all the bandits. If I'm just looking back on how things have been progressing lately, I think that's probably a decent way to approach things. Because just trying to do everything on the east side of town in a single episode, especially with the double trials, I don't think it's gonna work. We are not quite blitzy enough with this build for that. So you and you. Ooh, chromatic. We'll take a couple steps back for that. And you, blue, hexproof, yes, well, then I won't have to curse you, which I have been forgetting to do, and haven't been needing to do either. That's one of those things, cursing really doesn't come natural to me. I've probably been hugely spoiled by using blasphemy all the freaking time. Because, no, just face it, if you put on 2 defensive blasphemy auras, it's, you know, they're always on. And there's a lot of value to not being able to forget to cast defensive skills, or especially when you really need them. And if something just charges in on you. Well, charge is maybe a bit of a bad example, because as far as I understand, charge actually snapshots the damage it will deal when it is cast, so that's when the monster is outside of your range. Half a year back or so, Jiggity did a rip analysis because he experienced exactly that with charge starting outside of his aura radius, and therefore kind of killing him. But yeah, well, the end result, of course, is that I've been hugely spoiled by Blasphemy, because it's just such a really quality of life improvement having all the auras always there. And manually casting stuff is, well, it's work. Now there is an axe, the name at the moment eludes me, but there's a really low level axe that has the interesting property of whenever you hit a monster, or monsters that are hit, or something like that, well, basically you curse on hit. And I don't have it handy in this league, so it's a bit difficult to test, but if that would work with totems, that's potentially an interesting leveling weapon. Now, a weapon like this with lots of elemental and fire damage increase, bonus to spells, and with the +1 to fire gems is actually a lot better in terms of damage increase. And now to making the trade-off for a small quality of life change that your Shockwave Totem will auto-cast curses. You know, it's not really worth it. Well, auto-cast via the axe, that is. You can do a curse on hit setup and it will still work. Maybe I should put a thing there. Yeah. Well, we have arrived at one of our destinations, the Chamber of Sins.
The Eternal Empire was built by sickened minds.
So, the stops in here will include the Trial and Fidelitas the Morning. In just some random browsing across the Path of Exile wiki, I'm not even sure how I got to it, but Yeah, I was looking at the lore of the Malagaro's, of Malakai's assistants. Now you got Dweidre, you got Inquisitor dude, Malagaro, yes, and multitasking. It's hard. Let's see. You got the poison dude, you got the cursor, and you have Chavron of Umbra. Yes. No, I was just looking into their background, but apparently Inquisitor Malagaro had a slave, and he actually had a relationship with that slave, and eventually ended up experimenting on that slave, and that ended up becoming Fidelitas the Morning, because he was so loyal to the Inquisitor, which is pretty bizarre. Well, yeah, there's a lot of lore behind the game that you never really realize is there. I'm not even sure what the sources are, or just how accurate those things are, but if I read things on the Path of Exile wiki, I'm assuming them to be true. So it could be just someone that's just playing a really good prank, but it does explain why, why they are linked. Let's see, Flame Golem, Burning, Domination, Shockwave, Domination. Okay. Just double checking that we don't level stuff that shouldn't be leveled. Ooh, a vegan. No, but you got the Echoes quest, where you actually get to fight Malagaro next to Fidelitas. No, that explains why they are related. Right, so you want to die? Sure, we'll facilitate that. And we'll just curse you. And there you are.
A desperate ally seeks your aid and will lavish you with appreciation.
And you. We can continue down here. Well, as always, we're just randomly wandering about until we find where we have to go. Now, sometimes you get up, sometimes you go down, and this time we end up being lucky finding the exit. I remember last time it was somewhere over there. So yeah, there really is no rhyme or reason to this. Okay. Oh, we actually have the Echoes of Mutation, the Fidelitas and the Echo of Malagaro. And you are cleverly standing outside of range of everything. Let's fix that. Question always is, do you run into the trial first or do you run into the boss fight first? Oftentimes I do end up running into the boss fight before I run into the trial. That's become a kind of my default now. But often there are enough mobs that you will end up getting a full file skill if you need it. But admittedly, the Fidelitas fight isn't really that difficult, so. I do remember it being difficult in the past, but it's probably my habit of really focusing on maxing my resists before basically getting here that makes it less of an issue. Okay, let's curse you again, just to make it quick. Oi, stop running outside of the burn range, that's pretty rude. Yes, that's how it goes. They appear to be coated in oil or something. Not quite sure what's up with these dudes. Okay. Let's see, there's some stuff there, some stuff there. Still works really nice though. Just putting a totem down and it will clear the room for you. Increased area of effect. We are using Crested. Well, if it drops, it's usually because it's interesting. On the other hand, this is a tree linked. Oh, interesting. But if you want to do something useful with a blue, you have to put in the effort. We'll put it aside for now, and I might end up crafting it or something. I'll see. We got a really nice shield, so there's no real strict need for crafting. Ah yes, Elementalist. Extra resistances, extra elemental damage, and a chance to freeze, shock, and ignite. I'm assuming the ignite is only gonna be relevant for us because we only do fire damage. And as expected, we are running into the boss fight first. This corridor is it's always shaped this way. It's just part of how the map is generated. So it's predictable in that regard. Perhaps two wrongs can make a right.
Art in motion.
Art in motion. Okay, we'll give you minions.
Perverse loyalty.
Oh.
Blind love. The abuser and the abused. Reunited in sin.
So, Baleful Gem. So is that the transmutation
I bequeath
device?
this transmutation device to you, Inquisitor Manigaro, in recognition of your devotion to our sublime art. May it be the chariot that conveys your dreams into reality. Malachi, Thaumaturge Laureate to the Empire.
Okay, but I don't really cast too much on the background here. What was it exactly that was said? Prefers loyalty, blind love, the abuser and the abused are reunited in sin. So that does confirm there was something between them. Cool. Okay, now that we have survived this terrible trial, so difficult, let's do a truly difficult trial. Well, the biggest difficulty is not killing myself by standing in the traps for too long. So admittedly, I'm better at standing in the traps than avoiding them. Hello, spider. Go through here, and this looks like a solid wall, but just double check. Yeah. Because, well, what appears to be a solid wall might not always be a solid wall. Oh, plus 5 levels, that's interesting. Surgeon. Superior Exquisite. That's plus 1 quality, seriously. 1 quality. It's all a higher level items, that is what makes them interesting. Normally you wouldn't find these things yet. Oh, for now, whatever. We don't care. We got a good armor, and it's too much effort to make a 5 link. Well, buying a cheap 5 links if someone else gets lucky, sure. But spending all the currency to actually make a 5 link, not worth it yet at this level. Which is, well, something I do find slightly annoying, that the currency costs to craft decent items are generally so prohibitively high compared to trading for it, that there is a very, very strong incentive to ignore a lot of the crafting content of the game until the end game, and even then it's not something for everyone. Did that open the door there? No, it didn't. It's a door there. So these are all very constrained. We can just weave around here. Oh, well, almost. Mostly, yes. How are we gonna get there? Okay. I think the trick lies in going over there. This is the way back to open up the way for your party. And then we go past here. And we just ow, 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 ow. As I said, I'm better at standing in the traps than avoiding them. Especially with, though my jump is so slow because there's no faster attacks attached to it. It really, now you're spending about half a century just getting up for the jump that it's really hard to avoid things just in the nick of time. Yeah, okay, so too bad about the quilted jacket.
Between consideration and hesitation. The former is wisdom, the latter is fear.
But we are now done here. That means we can empty our pockets and move onwards to the next trial. Also, we get stuff. Granite flask, yes, please. So are we over level 60 yet? Okay, in that case I'll just put stuff in the stash and deal with it for chaos recipe sorting later. Oh, maybe I shouldn't go before I'm done dealing with stuff. Helena, hello, hello. Silk, hello, hello, goodbye. Next trial. You. So something interesting appeared today. That is a manifesto, development manifesto post by Chris Wilson on the Grinding Gear Games forum. Also linked from the today's news in the game client. And that is the news that Path of Exile 3.0 that's going to be released next year will contain 5 acts, so they are adding a 5th act, and that they are removing 1 difficulty level. So depending on how you look at it, Cruel or Merciless is going to disappear, or no, you could even look at it as they'll be merged into something that you could call Cruelcilus or something like that. And no, you'll be going through 10 acts in order before you get to maps. And as a result, they'll be rebalancing all the monster levels and things like that in order to make the progression smooth. Because I think the current, no, you have to go through 12 acts before you can get to the end game bits. A lot of people seem to feel that it's quite a bit, it's quite long. Can't say I disagree. I mean, you know my pace right about now. I tend to spend about 15 episodes per act or per difficulty level. So getting to maps usually takes me about 45 episodes. So that's almost a month and a half, or about half the league. If you could knock that down a little bit and, you know, maybe get there in like 35 episodes, that would be pretty awesome. I'd be happy with that. Because that means more time for mapping and exploring the endgame. Especially now that with the Atlas of Worlds, they really put in the effort to spice up the endgame. You, of course, want to spend more time there rather than progressing through the story multiple times. So I'm not entirely sure if I read it from an official source or from speculation, but the end goal seems to be 10 acts altogether, so there's no more difficulty levels. It's not from the original post, so that could be that I'm conflating this with speculation from the forum thread. But no, 5 acts, that's pretty cool. Let's see, support gems, extra file gem, ignite me, boo freaking who. we'll just counter this with minions. So I'm very curious to see how that's gonna impact just progress. Also, there, a Val Lightning Trap. I was already wondering, like, am I overlooking a Val skill somewhere? So these gem cutter chests are pretty cool, because they give you gems that you might not be able to buy. No, blue gems, hard to get by if you're a marauder like me. Culling Strike, it's green, might be difficult. The red ones are of course easier to get. A Val Lightning Trap. Interesting. I don't think I've ever used it. Then again, I have yet to build a proper trapper. Definitely something that I will consider, but well, I'm pretty curious about the new channeling skills. See if there's going to be something that's completely going to be game changers, or if they're stuff that really look like they would be up my alley. Silver Flask and a Torah Cave. Well, if we find Torah, we'll do it. Otherwise, too bad for Torah. Oh, those were bears. But yeah, I'm jumping topics here. So, the speculation about the multiple... no, Act 5, of course, I don't know anything about that yet. Curious to see what they're gonna do with it. Also, 10 acts rather, or 5 acts that you go through twice rather than 4 acts that you go through 3 times, which will be able to progress faster. One of the questions is of course going to be how will they balance the labyrinth and the ascendancy points. An interesting way to do it would be to grant you 3 points for the first labyrinth, 3 points for the second labyrinth, and 2 points for the Uber labyrinth. That way, basically by the time you get to maps, you have it in the same way. Interesting change, of course, being that you won't be able to take your second keystone while progressing, because you'll need to finish basically the equivalent of the Merciless labyrinth. But so it's interesting to see how they're gonna balance the area levels. I mean, obviously, Cruel and Merciless, they have a pretty condensed level curve, so it's most likely that they'll mix those two and just make it into one stretch, especially if they add a 5th act. Currently you end up at about level 40 when you finish normal difficulty. We can actually double check that. The harvest is exactly 40, so it's 40, 42, depending a bit if you're over or under leveled. And it's about 30 here, it's about 22 there. Yeah, Act 1 you gain the most, you end at 12. And then they slowly ramp it down, so it's about 10 after that. So if you finish Act 5, maybe by 58, maybe 60. Maybe 48 through 50, something like that. No, just 8 more levels. Then going from 48 to normal Merciless, I believe you finish at in your late 60s. Because mapping starts at 68. So that gives you about 20 levels for 5 acts, so 4 levels per act, which is roughly what you do already. So I think they will be able to balance that out quite nicely. Might actually add a little bit more of a difficulty progression to the higher difficulty levels. Because currently it's a rather flat curve because there's not a lot of level increase, and of course monster stats increase with level. And that makes them more difficult to deal with. You die, yes please. Question is, are we gonna find the exit first or the trial? It's always nice to find the trial first. That one's gonna kill itself. That'll work out pretty fine. Why are they shooting at me? Don't think I did anything to justify that sort of violent behavior. Simply rude. Right. Let's leave a portal here. If we end up having to go back all the way to more or less the beginning, might as well use the portal to get here. But of course, the trial is why we are truly here. Okay, you. Oh. Nice, nice. So coming back to yet again to the manifesto post about the 5 acts. It's something I haven't seen a Reddit thread about. And most of the time when there's any form of news or even speculation of news, there is a Reddit thread about it. So I'm wondering what's up with that. Also, as Project PT mentioned in his video commenting on this, he wondered why are they doing this? Because there's no obvious marketing angle to it, and they could have used this better. Is this just something that has been mistimed or something? Something they didn't intend to post? Because it's not in obvious reaction to a miscommunication from somewhere or something weird happening. No, they're not trying to diffuse a rumor or something. So why out of the blue do we get this? It doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. Ooh. It's also interesting, I never really noticed that the light actually dims when you run low on health. Okay, so no more health potions. Actually, don't get hit. Whoops, that works.
Shine boldly, so that all may find you when the night falls.
Okay, yeah, so the start is about as far away as where we wanna be. So we'll just push forward. Chromatic, obviously I want that. And then the long track back begins. No, but yeah, why are they posting about this? It's not something that's controversial. It is something, it is change, obviously. It is a change, but I think this is something that will be universally hailed by most of the players. No, yes, there's gonna be a 5th act. Yes, they're dropping Cruel effectively, so you'll get to the end game faster. There's less repeats of the same content. Everybody wins. So yeah, the timing is odd, and I can't think of a different reason either why they would post it. Or maybe they are about to announce something that might be more controversial, and they're just trying to separate things. That's possible. Now on the Lionize Watch podcast, Chris Wilson did say that they had an idea that would solve a problem that action RPGs have had since the beginning of the genre, and that no other action RPG has actually solved yet. And he was being rather cryptic about it. So it could be that they're gonna lift the veil on that soonish, and they already want the information out. Could be that it's just that. Be smashed. Whoosh whoosh. Ooh, into the shop. Gotta catch all the currency. Just like Pokemons. Really. Gotta catch them all. Let's see, 1 and 2 and 3. Noble X. Yeah, I was already expecting I was gonna be foolish. Yeah, we eventually will need the space for the arm as well, so might as well empty our pockets now. Low Groost. Wait, we're higher level. As in Chaos Recipe, sorting time, so again, just dumping everything into the stash. Now, Act 2 of Merciless is indeed where you hit level 60 for the first time from regular mobs, so rare drops are gonna be Chaos Recipeable, which is an interesting word. There's an essence there. How do we get there? Via this direction. Maybe I also should pay attention to the mobs around me. Wailing Essence of Torment. And let's curse you. That will make you die faster. Also, for the fun of it, here is some skeletons. Thank you. Well, Torment is one we have seen before. It has a psychological horror theme to it, so it must be lightning. Because, well, it's shocking. Ow. Stop trying to bash my skull in, please. Might look like a marauder, but I'm not the danger here. It's those totems. Go beat up on the totems. Yeah. Definitely need to work a little bit on training the monsters and maybe keeping myself out of harm's way rather than in harm's way. But hey, what do you do? So we just snuck our way into here rather than charging through the front door. Don't mind me. I'll just steal your golden hand. Take it off their hand, so to say. And Yina wants it. She appreciates us robbing tombs. So, Jules, what do we use? Mana reserves, we don't care. Mana cost, we don't care. Skill effect duration, we don't really care either, I believe. I mean, 4% for the totems is pretty not worth bothering. Chance to avoid elemental status ailments, increase life recovery from flasks, and 2% chance to dodge. It's minimal defenses. Let's see, curse effect, flask effect, and effect of non-curse auras you cast. We don't use that either. Well, 4% curse effect, so basically they're all rubbish for our purposes. We'll pick this one and skill book. But this, no, it's not like the mana regen one from normal difficulty where you're like, yes, I want that. I want that in my life. Here it's more like, yeah, sure, whatever, don't care. Either way, that was the 2 trials in a slightly more extended episode than normal. So, as always, I hope you enjoyed this. And thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you again next time. Bye bye.